Today, I'm going to be doing the story of our miscarriage. So, yeah, that's what we're going to be talking about today. I have been sharing our story openly for the past 8 years, and it's just something that I felt like the Lord has really laid on me to do over the years, is to be very open with our story. And sometimes that can be hard because I don't necessarily want to relive situations or bring it back up, or just have to explain it. I kind of just want to recluse myself and just kind of move on. So by doing this, it pushes me outside to do things that I probably normally wouldn't do, and I've never regretted it. Each time I've shared about something, it's been, God has used that in some way, and He's shown that to us. So that's why we share. That's why I put everything out there, in case you're wondering. So anyways, yeah, so today I'm going to be sharing the miscarriage story. So if you haven't yet watched our last video, please do that now. I'll link it in the comments or in the description. It'll be our journey to pregnancy. So if you haven't watched that video, please pause this video, go back and watch our journey to pregnancy first. That way you can be caught up and you know all the details and whatnot, so you're not just picking up at this point. Or if you're just here to watch a miscarriage story, then stay here and just continue along as I tell our story. So for those of you that know, our miscarriage story kind of started on New Year's Eve. So that was when we had our follow-up appointment at our fertility specialist. So we went that morning for another ultrasound. We had been praying and just, honestly, we hadn't stressed that much about it because we just felt so good, and we just knew that whatever happened, that was God's plan for us. And so we were just trying to really honor that decision either way. Of course, we were praying for Him to seek favor on us to keep this baby, because that is what we wanted so badly, and for a miracle to have happened to where our baby called up where it needed to be and that everything was going to look beautiful. So we went in, and it was just like a weird morning anyway, but we went into the appointment and, very optimistic. So the doctor comes in and the nurse, and they're doing the scan, and you just know when something's not right. Like, you can just tell. And so basically what he said was that the baby was not progressing still like they wanted, and that now there was no heartbeat. So they immediately just started telling us about our options, and it was very overwhelming. I think I blacked out during his speech, because I just was I couldn't even comprehend what he had just told me, much less go through 3 options. And they are thinking about me first and foremost, and they want to be able to control the situation, and so they were very biased towards that decision, just to take medication and be able to control it and be in control of my body and kind of what happens. And I was completely against that. No way at all. So I just told the doctor, I was like, I don't know what's going to happen, but whatever does happen, it's going to happen naturally. So we left. Well, we cried in the doctor's office forever. and we finally left. And Jared was actually, he had taken a sick day that day to go to the doctor with me. He was supposed to be at work already, and he had taken a sick day because it was just such a big appointment and we didn't know what was going to happen. So he was supposed to go back to work. We were in Asheville, and he was supposed to, an hour from our home, he was supposed to go back to work like right after the appointment, and I was going to go back to my parents' house. And I was like, there's no way I can be without you. Like, I'm going with you. So, and you kind of saw a little glimpse of that in our last video if you've watched it, about, well, I don't know if it's the last one now, but our first full week of camping together. That's kind of what sparked everything, because I was like, I'm going with you. Like, I'm not going to stay here by myself and let whatever happens happen without you, because like, you're my husband, you're my partner, you're the father of my child, like, you are in this just as much as I am. So we left. We talked to our friends, of course, some of our family, and then we all met at our church that evening before we left, and we just prayed. It was so amazing. So many people just came together last minute to pray for us, and it was just words can't fully describe how amazing that day was, just having everyone come together and praying over this baby. So we prayed at church for about 2 hours, an hour, something like that, and then the next morning Jared and I left to go down to Greensboro, which was where he was working at the time. So since we were in Greensboro with for Jared's work, we actually have two of our very good friends down there. And you know, it's funny how God puts you in certain situations, and you don't even realize that you're in these situations until like something happens, and then you're like, oh my gosh, like he really strategically planned that out. So we happen to have two great friends in that city. We don't know anyone else really. And two friends that we're actually really close with, so very, you know, intimate things have been shared with them in both of our lives. So it was, you know, not just somebody we knew, like really good friends. And we went down there on a Tuesday, I think, and then it was 9 days later when everything happened. So I woke up that morning. So, well, let me go back a little bit. I ran out of my medicine. So basically I could keep taking my medicine. Well, they wanted me to stop my medicine that day. I was still taking like progesterone and estradiol. They just wanted me to stop that day. So, but I was like, no, I'm just going to let it happen naturally, and I'm just going to finish what I have and just move on. So I was like, I'm just going to finish off my medicine, and it was probably, yeah, it was like 9 days after. So I'd been off my medicine for 2 or 3 days, I think, and I woke up that morning. Everything was normal, totally fine, just like a normal morning. And then around like 11, I started cramping like really, really bad, and I was like, today's the day. Like, I just know it's gonna happen today. And I just had this feeling just in my gut, and so I started like researching like hospitals that were nearby. Now, of all the days, my husband was over an hour away working, and he was at a meeting that he could not leave. It was like a district meeting, and so he could not get away. It was very important. He was riding with other people, so he couldn't just pick up and leave. So I'm all alone in our camper, just me and the dog, and all this horrible cramping starts. And it was bad, but I was like, okay, I can get through this. Like, this isn't that horrible. And so I was like spotting a little bit, and I just knew, I knew it was going to happen. So I called my mom, told her, called my husband, and I was like, it's definitely going to happen today. And I kind of I was not okay, but I knew, I had just a peace about it. And I knew that, my body was made to go through this, so my body could handle it. And yeah, that was kind of where I was. And then as the hours went on, it just got really, really, really bad. It just unbearably bad. And then around 3 o'clock was when I actually started the whole miscarriage process. And I had never had a miscarriage before. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what it would be like. And I literally, that was the most traumatic experience I've ever experienced in my life. Like, the most traumatic. And I would not stop bleeding. So I was afraid I was going to hemorrhage because the bleeding would not stop. And I was just about to drive to the emergency room, which was over like 30 minutes away, as I was miscarrying. And I knew that that wasn't the right decision, but I also knew I needed to go to the hospital. So, and I didn't want to call the ambulance. I didn't want to go through all that. So, and then I realized where I was. So I texted my friend, and she was literally like, I will be there. I'm leaving work now. Like, I will come straight to you. Like, no ifs, ands, or buts. Like, as soon as I told her what was happening, she's like, I'm coming to you. So she came and picked me up. And by the time she got here, things had really slowed down. But I knew something still wasn't right. I was still bleeding too much to have gone through the whole process pretty much. So she drove into the emergency room in Greensboro. Wasn't familiar with any of there. So long story short, went to the wrong place first and finally made it to another hospital that was actually just for women, so that was a really good experience. So we got there, and all the while my husband's still not home. He's still working, and we're at like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock now. So we get to the hospital. We get to the hospital. They take me back. They run some tests, of course, you know, just to verify that I am pregnant and what's going on. And I have to explain to them everything that happened and, you know, just do triage, all the typical normal emergency room stuff. And so then they're like, okay, well, we're going to do an exam. And so I was still bleeding, which was their main concern. And so they do the exam, and there's still some of the pregnancy left inside me. And so they had to clean that out of me, which was why I was still bleeding so much. So that was very traumatic as well. And my friend, she was there the whole time with me, just holding my hand and just being there with me. And I seriously can't even explain how amazing it was to have her there, to experience something so traumatic and so personal and so intimate. It was very spiritual. The bond, I mean, we were already close, but that just really bonded us in a way that I didn't ever imagine or knew existed. And, you know, after that, I was very upset for a while, and then, you know, they did scans and stuff to make sure everything was good, more blood work, all of that, and I had to get a RhoGAM shot because my blood is A negative, so I had to go through that whole, you know, and then just get some meds and stuff. But the bottom line, I knew I needed to go to the emergency room, and if I hadn't have went to the emergency room, I don't know what would have happened to me. I could have bled way too much. I could have gotten an infection. Who knows what would have happened if I would have just stayed home. But I just knew that something was wrong, and there was just something tugging in me that, like, you have to go. Like, you have to go. And so I just thank God so much that He laid that on me of, like, no, something is not right. Like, you need to go to the emergency room, and you don't need to wait. Like, because I was just going to go the next morning. I was like, well, Jared can just take me the next morning. I'll just go, because I knew I needed to get a RhoGAM shot, and I was just, you know, going to rest. But, like, I just knew, like, something was not right. And so that was just a blessing in itself. And then just to have my friend there was Like, nothing explains that except God. Nothing at all. Like, she was there. She was able to come straight to me. Like, what if I would have been in a city where I knew no one, and then I tried to drive, and then I wrecked and hurt myself or hurt someone else? Or who knows? I mean, I was very weak. I was very dehydrated. I could have passed out. Like, you never know what could have happened. And so, like, I think about those situations, and I'm just like, God knew what was going to happen, and He perfectly aligned this situation up to where He knew, like, she's going to go through the most traumatic thing in her life, but I'm going to make sure, like, she has someone there to support her and to be with her and to comfort her, and, you know, at a time where comfort is the last thing that you feel. So it was just very spiritual, the whole experience. The miscarriage itself was traumatic yet spiritual, and then the entire evening. So it's been a month and a week now that everything happened, and I'm just really able in the past couple weeks able to fully talk about it without being too upset. So yeah, I don't really know what else to say. So it's heartbreaking, but, you know, there's nothing, basically a miscarriage that early is just genetics, so something, you know, could have been wrong, or who knows. It was nothing I did. I know that, and I'm aware of that, and I fully grasp that. So it was nothing that I did, so I know it's not my fault. But still, altogether, it's just very heartbreaking. And that was our first pregnancy. That was the first time we ever had been pregnant, so it was very, the only word I know to say is heartbreaking. So that's the only word that can really explain that situation. Yeah. So I don't know what the future holds. I really don't. I feel in my heart that we're going to be parents one day. I have the desire. I've prayed for God to take the desire away from us if we're not meant to be parents. I don't want to have that desire. Like, just take it away. If it's not meant for us to be parents, just take it away, because I don't want it. It hurts too bad. But He's not taken it away thus far. So I still feel like we are meant to be parents. I don't know if that's going to be through me getting pregnant or through us adopting a child one day. I really don't know what the future holds. And I don't know what His plan is for us. But I'm just trying to honor His plan and just be present with my husband. Not get so hung up on it to where that's all that consumes us, because I don't want to miss what's happening right in front of me with Jared. I mean, we've had a wonderful, this year's 10 years that we've been married. We've had the most wonderful 10 years, and we've had some major heartbreak over these 10 years. And I just have to remember that, like, this is who I married. This is my soulmate. Like, this is who I chose to do life with. And would we love kids? Yes, more than anything in the world. So much. But if it's not in the plan for us, then, you know, it's okay. It's honestly okay. And it used to scare me that I had gotten to a point where it was okay if I didn't have kids. I'm always going to want them, but I mean, I'm tired. Like, I'm so tired. I'm tired physically. I'm tired emotionally. Like, I'm so tired. But I don't want to give up. But at the same time, I am so tired. And my body has been through so much. My body's been through so much. And each fertility treatment is just more intense and more intense. And the scheduling and the appointments and the medicine and just all of it, like it's so tiresome. But I don't want to give up. So where do you draw the line, you know? But so yeah, we are just praying about it, and we're just praying that God's plan will prevail. We know it will, and that's really all I know to do at this point. So that's where we are. That is our miscarriage story. Thank you to every single one of you who have been with us on this journey. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you for your positive energy, your good vibes, your good words, just all the things that you've sent us to support us and to love us. You don't even know how much it means to us. And when I say this, I'm being 100% truthful. We literally feel every single prayer. Like, we feel it. We feel it just overcome us. And so thank you for that. We have never been more supported, and it's just amazing. It's just beautiful what God can do in a really, really heartbreaking situation. So we're going to keep sharing whenever things happen. We're going to keep sharing what we're doing. We're going to keep sharing what our goals are. We're going to keep sharing our plans that, you know, God laughs at. But yeah, we just love you guys, and thank you for supporting our channel. Thank you for watching our videos. I hope that we're fun to watch. So yeah, that's all. We love you guys. Thanks.